Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube NFL prediction segment, I'm going to be giving you my picks and analysis for Week 6 of the 2017 NFL season. So let's get started. First game, really tough one. You got two juggernauts going at it right now. Carolina is at home against Philadelphia. Carolina has looked very impressive. Carolina's number 5 in pass defense. Philadelphia might not be able to have their way as far as what they've been doing previously against other teams. Carson Wentz for Philadelphia is very good. But I like Carolina because Philadelphia is coming off a short week and they're going to be on the road. Also, despite Philadelphia's phenomenal run defense, but they can have a little propensity to give up some big plays on the ground from time to time. And I think with Carolina and Cam Newton can be potentially very good runner. And I think that could make his legs could make the difference. And also Cam Newton has looked much better in the past 2 games. He's had like a 77 completion percentage in them. I think he's going to be very sharp, mainly on virtue of them being at home. I like Carolina. Now, next game, I'm going to take Atlanta at home over Miami. Atlanta is rested. Quarterback Matt Ryan of course, he's playing, I'm sure, but Julio Jones, I think in all likelihood, will play. Miami right now, they're one of the worst in total offense. They're only, and in scoring fronts, they're only averaging like 10 points a game. They put up 16 against a depleted Tennessee Titans team, and that was at home. Whether they go with quarterback Jay Cutler or someone else, I don't think it's really going to make that much difference in the outcome of this game. Miami just simply can't score, and Atlanta is really, obviously one of the more formidable offenses in the NFL. They are at home. I like Atlanta. Next game, I'm going to take Green Bay on the road against the Minnesota Vikings. I get the Minnesota Vikings wrong, it seems like, virtually every week. But this game, I hope I redeem myself. I believe I will. I think I'll get the game they're in correctly this time. Green Bay, of course, quarterback Aaron Rodgers was described in some football magazine I read. Might have been Pro Football Weekly or something. One of the more ruthless assassins in the game. If I'm not mistaken, he's got the most fourth quarter touchdowns since last season of any NFL quarterback. He is Mr. Clutch, very unflappable. He just never seems to be out of it, no matter what situation or circumstances in the game. Green Bay has also dominated the series against Minnesota in recent time. They won 4 of 6 against the Vikings. Now, Minnesota, I don't think they're going to have quarterback Sam Bradford in. Minnesota, though, is very good at home. 7-4 at home since 2016. One of the receivers, Stefon Diggs, is one of the better ones in the league. If they go with Casey Keenum and being at home, they actually, they have a better chance, I think, than a lot of people think of actually winning this game. I'm still going to go with Green Bay. Green Bay, even when they have their injuries, they just always seem to beat those teams that you figure that they are going to beat. Aaron Rodgers, when you have him at quarterback, it's hard to go against them in most games. And really, in this particular one, I'm going to take Green Bay to win this on the road. Next game, I'm going to take the Detroit Lions on the road to beat the New Orleans Saints. I was debating over this. I'm very ambivalent about this game. But, I look at Detroit. Detroit has beaten Drew Brees 3 consecutive times. Detroit actually, even though it's early in the season, they've been solid on the road. 2-0 road team. There are only 2 defeats. They're 3-2, but the 2 defeats were both nail biters. Could have gone either way. You look at the Saints. The one positive with them is they've actually got a very good offensive line in terms of protecting Drew Brees. They've only allowed 4 sacks, but the vaunted offense that was once there does not seem to be there. They're only averaging about 23 points per game right now, and this team is just very unpredictable. They inexplicably went into Carolina earlier this season and won that game. But in most games like this, when you have when the Saints are playing and they got a team going in there, I think that's just playing better. you could rely on that team, I think, to go in and win. The Saints are just not the team they used to be. That they've been basically a mediocre team in recent times. I think it's time for them to lose in this one. So I'm going to take Detroit on the road. Now the next game, you know, New England is going to be at the New York Jets, and you told me about this game at the beginning of the season. Before the season started, I'd be like, hey, haha, New England and a laugher. They'll annihilate the Jets. Now, looking at this game, though, not necessarily. New York Jets have really superseded expectations. They're 3-2 right now. New England is 3-2. This is the battle in Week 6 for the AFC East supremacy, AFC East division lead for the time being. I'm going to take New England in this one, but I think this game is actually going to be competitive. The Jets aren't going to forget that debacle they suffered to New England last season. And really, the games, 7 of the last 8 games these teams have played against each other, they have been decided by 7 points or less. I don't see this being a blowout. The New York Jets, their defense has come on very strong in the last 3 games. They've only given up about 13 points per game in those 3 games on average. New England, though, I mean, I think they're good. They might be starting a winning streak. I'm thinking, though, I don't think they're going to renounce their supremacy quite yet in the AFC East. 15-3 on the road since 2015. Very good home team. Jets come in with a little bit of swagger, but you have to understand the Jets barely got by Cleveland, and Cleveland could have easily defeated the Jets, but what happened was Cleveland had the ball inside the Jets' 5-yard line on 2 occasions, and they squandered opportunities on turnovers. On both those occasions, Cleveland could have actually won that game by like 10 points if they had just played a little bit smarter when they were deep in Jets territory, but it wasn't meant to be for them as usual. And the Jets seem like they just pull a rabbit out of the hat week after week. This is a game, and Tom Brady apparently he's got some injury to his shoulder, his non-throwing shoulder, I believe, and and that might not be his throwing shoulder, but that could figure somewhat strongly in this game. And being that it's on the road, but New England has the rest, they still have more weapons than the Jets, and it's hard for me to go against New England, even though they haven't looked really as strong and dominant as they had in previous seasons. I still like them, but I think it'll be a close game. I think it's going to be about a touchdown in New England's favor. I'll take New England on the road. Next game. I like the Washington Redskins at home against the San Francisco 49ers. Now, Washington right now, I mean, they're very rested coming off a bye week. I think Kirk Cousins should have a very good game. I mean, they are playing San Francisco. 49ers have lost like 19 of the last 20, 2-17 on the road since 2015. They're dead last in time of possession average in the NFL. It does not bode well for them. They played a very tough game against the Colts. They played actually very well. Came down to overtime. They lost a heartbreaker. But now they're expending all that energy in that game. Now they got to go play a rested Washington team at home. No, it doesn't look good. I'll take Washington at home. Next game. Well, I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens at home over the Chicago Bears. Is this ravenous defense back? Well, they looked very good last week. They had 2 bad games before that. Who could really figure this out? I mean, it's early yet. You're seeing a lot of these enigmatic teams. They look good one week. They look bad the next. Baltimore, though, is 7-3 at home the last 10. And Chicago going with a different quarterback. I mean, he looked adequate in the last game against Minnesota, but nothing great, nothing to write home about. They're one of the worst scoring and total offenses in the NFL. But they have, I mean, they really, as far as their total defense, is not bad. They've almost surreptitiously been one of the best total defenses in the NFL. But Chicago also, I mean, they're just ignominious on the road. They've lost 10 straight on the road. I think it's going to be 11 consecutive in this one. I'll take Baltimore at home. Next game. I'm going to take the Houston Texans at home. Don't be shocked. Take them at home over the Cleveland Browns. Houston's, I mean, only scored 124 points in the last 3 games. They're starting to become like an offensive juggernaut. No J.J. Watt. I say no problem. It's not going to make that much difference. Cleveland is just that bad. They are on the road. They've lost 15 consecutive road games. They're like 1-24 in their last 25 overall. They're one of the, as far as running teams, are not one of the better running teams. I think Houston's defense, run defense, will be good enough to contain Cleveland. I don't see them having a problem in winning this one. I like Houston at home. Next game. Well, this is undecided for me. For me, I mean, this is one of the games I really had trouble making a decision on. I'm going to reluctantly take Tampa Bay on the road to defeat Arizona. I understand Arizona, apparently they've acquired Adrian Peterson. He hasn't exactly looked sensational so far this season. Tampa Bay, I mean, they're one of the teams where their defense is very solid. I've talked about the progression of quarterback James Winston a number of times, but their defense is what seems to be coming along. They finished very strongly last season. They played very well, I thought, against the New England Patriots last week. They lost a very close game. I think they missed a number of field goals. Could have very easily won that one. Arizona, right now, I mean, we're one of the worst rushing teams in the NFL. I think they'll gradually get some improvement with Adrian Peterson, at least until David Johnson returns, maybe likely in December. So I think this is a team, Tyvon Branch, I don't know if I'm saying the name right, leading the NFL in tackles. So they do have one bright spot with them, but Arizona is not this team really that looked like maybe a perennial contender, in recent time. This season, they really do not look like that to me. They look like a team that's a little bit on the decline. Maybe AP can give them a little bit of energy boost for them. And I would not be surprised if Arizona actually wins that one. I think it's going to be very close. But I'm going to take Tampa Bay on the road. I just like their defense, and I think that will be the difference. So next game. Well, I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars at home over the LA Rams. I mean, Jacksonville right now, I mean, they slaughtered the Pittsburgh Steelers last week. Who would have anticipated that? I mean, imagine how many people lost that game just picking it outright. I mean, it's very hard for me to see anybody hardly getting all those 14 games right last week, and that was one of the main reasons. Jacksonville now, I mean, they were able to really obliterate the Steelers on the road going into Pittsburgh. Now at home against the Rams suffered a tough loss. I mean, they were scoring all these points before that game last week, and last week they just put up like 10 against Seattle, and Seattle's defense had not looked really that good. I mean, not until that game anyway to me. I mean, not great. I mean, they had moments, but I didn't think they were going to hold the Rams to only 10 points. Now, Jacksonville, I mean, they're one of the leaders in the NFL in defensive interceptions. They really have, their defense is coming along. Scoring defense, they're only giving up 16.6 points per game. It's one of the better scoring defenses in the NFL. They got 20 defensive sacks. I think their defense is going to be stronger than that Rams offense. I think Blake Bortles, the quarterback, you can talk about progression of quarterbacks. He's coming along very well. And you look at the Rams right now, they are, I mean, I'm not saying I think they're good. They could be adequate this season. I think they're likely improved. But I think right now it's just a bad game for them because the fact that they did come off a game which they were not at their best, obviously. Now they got to go on a road and play a Jacksonville team right now that is playing with a lot of confidence. And I think they feel like they may actually feel that they could be very one of those playoff teams maybe in the AFC and really be one of the better teams there. So I'm going to go with Jacksonville at home. Now, next game. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs at home over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kansas City, I mean, right now, 15-2 in the last 17 regular season games. I'm sure that's got to be the best in that 17-game stretch, considering New England's already lost 2 this season. Running back Kareem Hunt, he's the NFL leader in rushing yards. He's I mean, number 2 in total offense. I mean, I know their pass defense is a little bit their Achilles heel, but they are just very balanced overall. They just find ways to win. They're not flamboyant or flashy, but they get the job done. Pittsburgh, I mean, underachieved last week. There's a little dissension going on with this locker room, maybe especially with, I would say, with Big Ben and Antonio Brown, perhaps. They're one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. Big Ben had said something to the effect, well, maybe I don't have it anymore, referring to his ability at quarterbacking. The way I see that possibly, could that be maybe a little reverse psychology, trying to give the Chiefs a little bit of a false sense of security, perhaps? I don't think Big Ben is done by a long shot. I think he will bounce back and play very well, but I think the Chiefs, being at home, they just have too much right now. They're very focused. This is a team that I think can very well finish with the top record in the AFC, and I don't think they're going to let Pittsburgh derail them in that possibility. And Pittsburgh is good. They're still a very good team. I think last week was kind of an aberration against Jacksonville. But that being said, I like the Chiefs being at home. They're one of the better teams in the NFL, and at home they have the home field advantage. So I'm going to go with them. Next game, I'm going to take the Oakland Raiders at home over the LA Chargers. I know Oakland I think Derek Carr, his status is probable. He may or may not play. Even with another quarterback, I think they are still, with the weapons with Michael Crabtree and Amari Cooper, I think they will be okay. I know they lost last week, but this week now I think will be another week, even if Derek Carr doesn't play, another week with their second stringer. I think they could get this job done. Now, the LA Chargers, kudos to them. They beat my New York Giants last week. Linebacker Melvin Ingram, one of the leaders in the NFL in sacks. They have some things going for him. Philip Rivers, still quietly, almost surreptitiously, is still, I believe, one of the leaders in the NFL in passing yards. He just goes in there. He doesn't care what his team's situation is. He doesn't let it impact his play. Philip Rivers is just a true competitor, and he goes in and he plays well virtually every game. It's just a shame that he's on a team right now that's as lackluster as the Chargers. Right now, they're allowing about 161 rushing yards per game, which is like number 31 in the NFL. I think Oakland's going to be able to run a little bit better against the Chargers than most teams. I like Oakland to win this one at home. Next game, I'm going to take the Denver Broncos at home over the New York Giants. Denver right now, they are 3-0 at home this season. They're the best run defense in the NFL. Linebacker Von Miller, expect him to play very well. New York Giants right now, they've lost Odell Beckham Jr. and I believe also Brandon Marshall. They are just getting ravaged with injuries. They're losing one close game after another. 0-5 right now. They really are everything but eliminated from the playoffs at this point. They can win their next 11, and they may still miss it because you've got very good teams, I think, in this NFC East. Dallas could bounce back. Philadelphia very well win the division title, and Washington is still very good. This is really, it's a shame this is going on with the Giants. Maybe they're going to have to clean house at some point. They're also one of the worst in rushing yards per game at about 78 rushing yards per game. They can't get it done on the ground. They can't seem, I don't know what's going on, why they're losing all these close games, if there's something wrong with the clock management, but they're just not getting it done. And they find one way after another to lose, and I think the same thing is going to happen this week on the road against Denver. I like Denver at home. Last but not least, well, this is another game I've been mulling over. I've had very difficulty trying to predict this one. This is Tennessee at home against Indianapolis. I don't know what's going to happen with Marcus Mariota, if he's going to play or not. The Titans right now, can they get off the snide? Can they actually win this game? And, I'm a Tennessee Titans fan. I live in Tennessee, don't get me wrong. But the thing about this is, it's just something about the history with these teams. Indianapolis has defeated Tennessee 11 consecutive times, and it's just very hard for me to go with the Titans right now, considering the status of Mariota. Is he going to play or not? Indy has taken 16 of 17. Now, I understand that Andrew Luck may not play. I don't know what's going on with him, but if something happens and he decides and he's able to play, I think that would really be advantage Indianapolis. In this particular game, as much as I don't want to go against the Titans, I am going to go against them. I am going to take the Indianapolis Colts in this one to win it on the road in a close battle. I've been wrong before. I hope I'm wrong in this one. I really would like to see Tennessee bounce back, but it just seems like Indy with their history with the Titans recently. I think I just feel more comfortable going with the Colts. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this NFL prediction segment for my 2017 Week 6 NFL picks and analysis. And until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.